How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews back with a little bit more Black is Beautiful beer. This time, courtesy of Magnify Brewing and Weathered Souls. Yeah, I did my first Black is Beautiful beer 2 weeks ago. That came courtesy of my boy Keith, as does this one. And I urge you to go watch that one from its beginning all the way to the end. And then come back to this one after you're done. That's what I would urge you to do. That one was from Montclair Brewing, which is a black-owned brewery in New Jersey. This is Magnify Brewing. They are doing a 10% version of this. I think my buddy brewed with vanilla, so there's vanilla in this. So, not that it was like, okay, you brew my beer and that's all you can do from the gentleman at Weathered Souls, but some breweries decided to take their own twist on it. That's what Magnify has decided to do here. So you're talking about a 10% Imperial Stout with vanilla. Label-wise, it's awesome. One of my favorite labels in recent memory. And yeah, looks like a big old Imperial Stout. No surprises here, but we're talking about a big base beer with vanilla. See how that vanilla plays. Very important to see how that comes out. I think this beer is going to be really nice because it's got a big, huge roast component. It reminds me of something I can't put my finger on, and the vanilla's not heavy-handed. What is that? It's an edible, and I don't mean like drug edible. I mean, it's like food. But I don't know if it's like cake or candy or cereal or even like a coffee I've had before. The way the roast on this malt comes off. Yeah, it's got this really nice roasted component to it that comes off slightly coffee, but slightly desserty, but also slightly like almost umami, like it's a grain from a meal kind of thing going on. So it's got multi-levels going to the way the grain comes off, which I think I got that from the Weathered Souls beer too. The big one on that one I wasn't a big fan of was the carbonation was down. But there is a soft kind of creamy component to that, and that's probably that vanilla at play. But again, like I said, it's not heavy-handed. You're not getting gobs and gobs of vanilla here. It's a really big, robust, roasty, toasty stout with a little dollop, a subtle dollop of vanilla, which I kind of appreciate. We're just going to dive in. Cheers. That's a really good beer. That's a really good beer. Roast is the name of the game here. I mean, this beer is so old school, but with that vanilla, and I would assume is an oat addition, the way that mouthfeel comes off as creamy as it does, maybe there's a little lactose in there and they're not telling us, but the way the mouthfeel kind of comes off, it's super silky, super sultry, but it's really bittering. I mean, it really is a Russian Imperial Stout is what it is. But then when you add that little dollop of vanilla, it just tames that bitterness. You know, like, I always like to use these wackadoo analogies. This thing's annoying the shit out of me. It's rolling back and forth, making a noise. I want to kill myself. Anyway, so I always make these wackadoo analogies. So, when you're mixing down sound, you know, if you ever seen a waveform before, it's just a bunch of peaks. If you record it properly, like if you record like shit, it's just a bar and it's all distorted. You know, there's a bunch of peaks. And you want to find a balance between the peaks and the valleys. You don't want to have your valleys to be too low and your peaks to be too high, because then you have too loud and too low. It's like talking like this and then talking like this. And I go, hey, how you doing? Well, how you doing, YouTube? That kind of thing, where you don't really hear what's going on. So you want to have that effect of enunciation, but you don't want to have it so where you don't hear the person talking. And that's where this beer kind of fits in, because in order to achieve that, you want to record at a proper sound, but you also want to employ like things like limiters and compressors and all that kind of stuff, preamp analog style, so it just makes everything sound full and warm while being detectable, but not over the top, but also not too low. It's exactly how this beer kind of comes off. And that roast is really, really big. But that vanilla, maybe a little bit of lactose, kind of acts as a compressor and shrinks that gap between the peaks and valleys. Lets that roast component run wild, be huge, be vibrant, be expressive. But it doesn't get too far away from that mouthfeel and or sweet side of things to where it doesn't get too heavy-handed. So the roast is the start of the show here. It comes off big, comes off bold, multiple levels of chocolate, a little bit of coffee vibes. And the way that sweet portion show, both from the grains, the sweetness from the grains, and also the sweetness from that vanilla, maybe a little bit of lactose. I keep saying that 'cause it's got to be in there. Just kind of makes it not balanced, but balanced enough on the one end and not let the other end tip over and cause destruction. Yeah, I like it. I think it's really fun. And here's the thing. Grand scheme of things, doesn't really matter. I mean, these beers are for an extremely good cause. So even if this beer was kind of like, I was like, it's okay, I would still urge you to go out and buy it, just for the sake of it being something that promotes goodness, And, but if we're going to sit here and talk about beer, which is what we do, and we can talk about beer at the same time we talk about social issues, is what everybody should do. Take your passions to life and explore them. But if you have the ability to do good while enjoying your passion, I think that's a positive thing. Anyway, yeah, this would not suck. I would really like to try this aged, because I think at its ABV, with its lack of moving parts, because really in what they say is all involved is vanilla, so I don't think this would turn badly. More adjuncts, the quicker shit could turn. But I think the way this kind of bittering comes off, and if you gave this about 5 years, it would turn into something epically fucking fantastic. It's probably, one of the tastier core 4, a little bit of adjunct going on. And by a little bit of adjunct, I mean that vanilla, I know. That maybe a little bit of lactose too, that I've had in quite some time. I like it. It's roast forward, so it's going to lean into my wheelhouse when it comes to kind of beers nowadays. Just because I like that without getting overly sweet, but tasty stuff for a really good cause. Yeah, one of the better stouts I've had in general as of late. Value and availability, I don't know about these, but it really doesn't matter. And leave you with, if you like, well, the availability matters, price doesn't. And leave you with, if you like what we like this beer, if you like really good beer for really good causes and you're a really good person. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive. Want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of Magnify. Black is beautiful right now. Or a little bit of Weather Souls. Or anybody's Black is beautiful right now. And hopefully see you next time. Cheers.